let's start with the next session, Explore Islands in Action. I'm very happy here to welcome representatives from the Sres-Loshin archipelago. Sres-Loshin was one of the pilot islands, the 6 pilot islands selected in phase 1 to develop the clean energy transition agenda. And it's one of the nicest stories of the Secretariat. So here we have with us today Hugo Toich. He's the director of OTRA, the Island Development Agency, since 2011. And in 2019, he was the one person who led the transition team elaborating the clean energy transition agenda for Sres-Loshin. Today, he's also part of the team who is working on implementing the clean energy transition agenda. So really on moving forward from strategic thinking to building a project pipeline and actually getting things done on the island. And he's the president of the newly established energy cooperative Apsirtides. Not sure if I've mentioned that well. Welcome, Hugo. It's a pleasure to have you here. I think we will start first with a video of Sres-Loshin that has been prepared, and then we will proceed with some questions I have for you on all the experience of Sres.
Hi, Marina.
Great. After this video, I feel even more sad to be here in Brussels and not be able to have our forum live in one island, such as a nice island such as Res. But let's hope for the future. So welcome back again, Hugo. I have a few questions for you. We've already mentioned how Sres-Loshin was selected at the beginning of 2019 as one of the 6 pilot islands to develop their clean energy transition agenda. And I would like to ask you, how did you start the clean energy transition agenda process, and what were the key factors for the successful compliance of this task?
Good. Good morning, everyone, again. But let me say at the beginning, on behalf of the entire archipelago community, that I'm glad to be here today, and thank you for the invitation to share with the European audience some of our experiences. Before I answer your question, I'd like to say that the Sres-Loshin archipelago consists of 2 main islands and respective municipalities, and other 6 smaller islands. The total area is a bit more than 500 square kilometers. The total number of inhabitants is 11,000. But in the summertime, we have 33,000 more guests, tourists. So it is 4 times bigger. It is also important to say, in our case, that we are geographical but not energy island, since we are connected with the mainland electricity grid via a submarine cable. Going back to your question, yeah, we were among the 6 pilot islands selected by the Secretariat to develop this CITA. And I have to underline that the energy transition on our archipelago was born then in 2019, when we started the collaboration with the Secretariat. As you saw in the video, there were some sporadic individual initiatives and projects, but the systematic and structured approach began only 2 years ago. And what were the key factors that for the success of the first step we made? Unlike in the case of Pantelleria, we heard yesterday, where the coordination of the CITA elaboration was done from Torino. It is, I believe, 1,000 kilometers away from the island, or in the case of Scottish Island, where the coordination was done by a national agency. In our case, the coordination was done by the Island Development Agency located on the archipelago. We hadn't previous experiences in the field of energy transition, but we had experiences in elaboration of strategic documents in participatory way. I would like to stress this in participatory way. The very good knowledge of the local environment and already well-established relations with local stakeholders helped us a lot to motivate and engage them in very short time. This was one of the key factors in my opinion. The second factor was that the fact that the core, the nucleus of the transition team were people who already collaborated before among each other, and they were all civil servants. So already paid for their engagement in the working time. We didn't have to engage volunteers, and then you can count or not on them. Very important was also the unconditional support of the 2 mayors. They participated in all public events, and they also continue to promote this energy transition whenever they could. And the last important factor, in my view, was the technical assistance we got from the Secretariat, and in particular the fact that one of the members of the teams was from Croatia, and the lady will be also in the panel discussion later on.
Thank you, Hugo. It's very interesting to see how indeed the dynamics may change from one island to another in order to get the clean energy transition happening. So as opposed to some of the cases we saw yesterday, for the case of SRES, everything was managed within the island. However, I get your message that what is certainly key is still to have the community on board and to ensure a good conversation between all the main stakeholders. Now, I have another question related to strategic documents, because we often see how public authorities elaborate different kinds of strategic documents, but it does happen that those plans end up in not being implemented, just being stored somewhere away. So in the particular case of your agenda, how is this evolving? How are the different activities being planned, and how is the implementation happening?
Yeah, we were lucky that the mayors recognized the importance of the energy transition and the agenda that was elaborated. So the Island Development Agency approached them and proposed to hire a transition manager. And they decided to financially support this initiative. The same was done by the regional authority. So we managed somehow to get to secure the money for at least one new salary within the agency, and to hire the manager for the transition. This is the minimum, I think, prerequisite to start the implementation of the transition. It was not so easy to find a person. It took us almost 2 months, but finally in March last year, we managed to hire one person that is 8 hours dedicated to this implementation, let's say, of the agenda. Then we started with very simple things just to achieve some results. We managed to pass in the town councils the decision to join and sign the Covenant of Mayors. And maybe one particular thing that came out from the fact that we were selected as a EU island on one hand, and the fact that we had certain human capacity to dedicate to the energy transition, we became to attract several projects and project partners on the island. We were recognized as a good pilot area. So we started the collaboration with several projects that were going on in Croatia, mainly Interreg cross-border projects, and we were selected as pilot areas, and we started to implement this project together with these partners. For instance, in one project we are elaborating the SECAP for the island of SRES, and we would like to learn by doing it and then elaborate ourselves the SECAP for the island of Flushing. Then we also applied for several projects together with some project partners, and one big success is that we got an ESOI support, an ESOI project together with the island of Korčula. So it was a joint application related to building of solar power plants in both islands, but through a crowdfunding system. So we would like the local stakeholders to be the owners of the power plants. And of course, the major success in these 2 years, I believe, is the establishment of the energy cooperative that was established 3 weeks ago. We are now still in process of registration, but I won't spoil this topic because the director of the energy cooperative will say a bit more later about it.
Thank you, Ugo. Yeah, stressing once again the need for resources on island and human resources on islands to actually make things happen. One last question real quick so that we can go and have enough time for our panel. The EU has defined very ambitious goals for the reduction of carbon emissions and has secured significant amounts of funds for the energy transition and digitalization. In your opinion, how optimistic are you about the use of those funds for your archipelago, and do you see any constraints?
When I see that these objectives of 55% reduction by 2030, and when I see the amount of money on the table, I just put my hand in the hair and say, God, how can we do it? We learned, now we experienced in the last year, that even just coordination of several projects that are done by other people and trying to apply for some smaller amount of money is very time consuming. And we have only one person. Sometimes I also, I'm personally involved in these activities, and we try also to engage some other staff of the agency to help us. But this is something very challenging. And yesterday we heard from other islands that they seek for funds, for money to increase the human capacity of the islands to apply for this money to prepare the projects. And this is the same challenge that we have. Looking at the agenda in total, we identified, as it was mentioned also yesterday, that the big chunk of emissions are coming from the transport, especially maritime transport. We had yesterday as panelists representatives of our national Jadrolinija, the company. They have problems with finding the right solution to transit, let's say, from one energy to the other energy for the vessels. And so we are more focused on activities that can be done locally. We for instance, the car ferries are far away from the domain of our influence on the island, but we need many small projects, and which are not even dependent on the big financial initiatives or investments that were mentioned yesterday by private investors in big projects, but we need many small projects, because the transition will be finished only when every single household, every single subject on the archipelago will finish its own transition. So when every family will have the own car, will have possibly its own PV on the roof or thermal panel on the roof. And these are not big investments. There is some money available at the national level. People have some money, but this is a huge challenge to coordinate all these small projects.
Thank you, Hugo, for your insights. Very interesting. I would like to quickly move to the different actors, stakeholders that we have present today here representing Sredslushing as well. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. We have around 11 minutes left for this session. So I will have a dedicated question for each one of you. And I will start with Franjo Toic. You're the manager of the energy cooperative established on the archipelago only 3 weeks ago. And you have been also a member of the transition team since 2019. So can you tell us, please, in a couple of minutes, a bit more about the cooperative and its plans?
Yes, thanks everyone for the introduction. Well, we were established 3 weeks ago, as you mentioned, but I was lucky enough to be a part of the energy transition team starting from 2011. And while this process was going on, we had one idea to make an energy cooperative that would be on purpose for the local citizens here on the archipelago. And after a few talks, after the ideas, we managed to found ourselves this year, 3 weeks ago. We were lucky enough that on the founding day we had 29 stakeholders, 29 people, but they were all for different areas. So we have inside this cooperative people from public sector, from private sector, we have academia, and we have civil society, which is most important, citizens living here on the island. And while there were only 29 people on that day, the next day, as the news spread, we had like 60 people already wanting to be a part of this cooperative. And now we are just currently being in the process of registering ourselves in the Croatian registers and databases and getting the bank accounts and so on. But we have the idea to make solar plants starting from next year. It's not a big scale, it's a small scale of 0.5 megawatts, and it should be in the ownership of the local citizens. Also, we are very lucky that, so in Croatia you have like a dozen of such cooperatives, but here in our case we have even 2 municipalities that are together as a founder in this cooperative. And we really hope that the future is bright for us. And as somebody mentioned on a similar conference, we think that we are modern hippies of this bright and renewable energy.
Thank you, Franjo. It's really amazing to see how this is progressing this fast and to see all the community of Sredslushing this involved in the energy cooperative and all this motivation. I will now make a question to Katarina Golubovic, and I apologize for my pronunciation. She's from the Mali Loshin Tourist Board. And actually, the island of Loshin is one of the Croatian leaders in sustainable tourism. It is among the 100 world green destinations. And in your opinion, how can the energy transition contribute to increase the sustainability of the island and really to add value to the tourism industry, to even attract this green tourism?
Thank you very much for the introduction and for the invitation and the opportunity to be a part of this important forum. Yes, like you said, actually from 2006, Mali Loshin and Tourist Board committed to go ahead the destination to sustainability, sustainable tourism, and responsible tourism. Our first step was actually the involvement to European Commission project European Indicators Tourism System, which we were the pilot destination. It was in 2013. and we started to measure all the indicators that are relevant in the field of economy, environment, social and cultural impact. The measurement of the indicators through these 5-6 years, so we do it continuously from actually 2014 until now, showed us actually all the weaknesses and detected what should we have our priorities in the future, especially in the matters of environment, in the matter of water and waste. This instrumental role of these indicators that we are measuring were the most important data in creating our study with the Institute of Tourism, study of destination capacity reception, which will be our guide in the next years. That was actually, I wanted to connect with the question you had to Mr. Ugo about these studies. Yes, sometimes they are put in the drawer of a table, but sometimes if you have the good data, the good indicators that you have measured, then they should be very important for the future, and which is the way the destinations should be headed. Also, as you mentioned, yes, we are among the top 100 destinations in the green destinations in the world from 2016, which actually indicates that we are headed in the good direction. We also met a lot of interesting destination leaders that are very far ahead of us, and we are learning their good practices. So actually, to conclude, is sustainability, sustainable tourism. We are hearing that phrase, but it's not just a phrase. To live it, you have to measure it. And all the indicators that we are measuring, which is a whole range of them, and especially these environmental indicators, are here to improve the energy transition progress. So yes, our indicators in the field of environment should be upgraded as the transition will be headed.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Katarina. In fact, you touched upon a very interesting topic that we are pushing also very hard from the Secretariat, the need of data in order to monitor, in order to track progress, really. That's an integral part of the clean energy transition agenda, and it's very interesting to see how it's been currently implemented in Sres-Losin. I would have a question now for Tina, and I would ask, if we can keep it as a testimonial. It's extremely interesting, everything that we are hearing, but we are getting to getting a bit tight in time. So Tina, you represent the biggest tourist company on the island of Sres. How can your company contribute to the energy transition of the archipelago?
Thank you, Marina, for your question. First, I would like to greet everybody participating in this initiative, and thanks for the forum leaders for invitation. I'm delighted to be here. I feel free to give a warm welcome on behalf of Camping Kovacine, who made a great step towards the great sustainability in recent years. We were the first, I think maybe in Croatia too, to remove all plastic bags like 15 years ago across all our stores. We removed completely straws. We've been raising the blue flag now for 19 years, and the green key too. We have also eco-camping certificate and an environmental ICO management certificate. We are a user of electricity purchased from renewable energy sources, which is called Zelen here, and we were awarded for the best eco-camping in Croatia. Because among other things, we have more than 200 solar panels. We have 3 little power stations of our own in our campsite and around. We have a charger for electric vehicle batteries. All our mobile homes are intelligent. That means when a guest opens a door or window, everything stops. We have all over energy-saving lamps, LED lights everywhere, heat pumps, wooden utensils, paraben-free cosmetics, And our company, Cresanka, is a part of which the camp operates as the largest tourist company on the island with more than 50 years of successful business. We are aware of our role in the community, and green business is one of our fundamental postulates. So thinking and acting responsibly in our camping and company means high level of employee awareness and of rational use of energy and water. We have really waste management reduction of all the amount of all types of waste generated in our processes. We also have irrigation of green areas with the drop-by-drop system and Bluetooth navigation. And we plant our green areas with plants that don't need as much irrigation as others. And by introducing new friendly materials, we reduce negative and harmful impacts and increase the degree of energy and efficiency. And all mentioned is just a part of basic principles of our thinking and acting. We are clearly defined the vision and successfully incorporated green business into our value system. And so we will do in the future. I think we have really a high level of social responsibility in that way you asked. So we really cooperate with local entities and different stakeholders. So we invest into them, we help them in their energy transition. For example, we helped our local school already with that kind of projects. Now we are doing it with, kako se kaže, vrtić, kindergarten, sorry, with kindergarten, and also all NGOs that function here on Cres. We are listening to their wishes and try to, involve in everything that we have and do all that we can. And maybe I can say also that our company is employer of like half of people that live here in Cres. They work here with us, and we are constantly doing educations for them regarding, to raise this environmental consciousness, and we do it really enthusiastically and with the heart, because I think without that all things are more hard and maybe even impossible sometimes. So we have this eco theater and some new creative ways of raising the consciousness.
Great. Thank you so much, Tina. It's very inspiring to see the private sector is involved, and once again, the need to talk and to collaborate with the rest of the stakeholders on the island. I have a question now to Tanya. I'm very happy that we have here a representative of the youth of the island here. And I would like to ask you real quick, as you're running a bit late of time right now, what's your view on the energy transition from your perspective as a young member of the island community? And how do you imagine the future of the island in the energy field and the involvement of the citizens?
Well, hello to everybody. I think that's quite a big question for the remaining time. I can maybe just say that from my point of view as a young member and somebody who is a little bit preoccupied with environmental issues, I'm full supportive of the cooperative and the energy transition that Cres is starting to do. And from only a few conversations with the rest of the Cres citizens, it's already noticeable that there will be an increasing involvement and new members in our cooperative. We are a small community, but at the same time, we're big enough to govern our own energy. And I think that only as we are pioneers in some cases, we should be our own model. So we should make a good practice example, meaning that maybe in solar panels, we should not be constructing it anywhere because our island area is currently multifunctional. The territory is cultural and has high rates of biodiversity and so on. So maybe instead of constructing utility scale electrical plants, we should be constructing them in urban zones, brownfields, and so on. So I think that we will make a good approach in that sense. I think that we will involve also experts and also citizens. So I see it as a bright future for this.
Wonderful. The future is bright then.
Yes.
Our young community sees it like that. This is wonderful news. And finally, we will end up this panel with the testimonial of Maya. She belongs to Island Movement, and Island Movement is one of the regional partners of the current Clean Energy for EU Island Secretariat. She was also involved from the beginning in the Clean Energy Transition or SRES Archipelago, SRES Lushing Archipelago. Real quickly, how do you believe that these good practices of SRES Lushing can be transferred and replicated in other Adriatic islands?
Hi, Marina, and everybody. Thank you for this forum online organization. I just want to emphasize that SRES and Lushing team is evidently proving that good people or the right people and the team of people who understand and go into the same directions are the key of the success for everything. So what we are having here, and you know that we started in Croatia with 4 island communities. For the reason SRES and Lushing were pilot islands and other pioneering islands, and this is what is clearly shown today on the panel, that the SRES and Lushing are definitely far away with the level of consciousness, with the number of the community stakeholders involved, and it's going to be a hard, let's say, job to replicate this on other Croatian islands, but not impossible. And the main thing that we are emphasizing all the time is cooperation between the islands. What we can see with the Nesoi project, and Korčula is the one who is going to probably be the second one leading the energy transition in Croatia. And definitely we see new islands coming into on the track, and people wanted to give the change and take the change into their island communities. So what we want to do and what we will do in the future is definitely keeping on raising the level of consciousness of the communities, and finding other people and local leaders such as Ugo and Franjo who can lead the transition. So this is how we see the key of success, and everything will be in a way depending on the people and their willingness of getting into the transition altogether.
Thank you so much, Maya, for your insights. Thank you all really for bringing into light here, for your commitment and for letting us know a bit in more detail what are the ingredients for success for a clean energy transition agenda and how to move forward from there. It's been a pleasure to have you all here. I see that there are some questions from the public. I will encourage you to keep on, all the attendees to keep on asking these questions. We will move now to the session with Samso, but we will have Ugo back with us afterwards at a round table, and he'll be able to answer more questions here. So thank you all once again to this wonderful panel representing all stakeholders in the island. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to continue the collaboration with SRES Lushing so that it continues to be this success story.